Wait. Actually realize I can't actually fuck around too much because I have to go see the lunar eclipse in like 4 hours. So we gotta blitz through this chapter. I've been up to quite a few things, honestly. I've made like no progress in any of the books that I'm reading. I should be reading Kindred at night and then East of Eden in the morning, but I have not been doing that. I don't know. I got mad depressed on Tuesdays, so that's why I wasn't here reading, but I'm doing it now. I went to yesterday, but then I like went to a coma. It was like a food coma. Now I'm here. But the things I was working, what the hell was I working on? I'm actually completely blank now. Don't remember. Ah, wait, I forgot. This is a good start. This is a good start. Don't look at my, what I was looking at. I was looking at my other visual novel, so I was trying to remember what visual novel I wanted to do next. Which is why I brought that whole bit up. Oh, actually, we could possibly go over that. It's going to be kind of a mess, but there was the Gamescom and PC Showcase that did happen. Again, we kind of got the blitz through it because I'm trying to make time for the eclipse. Well, so I'm trying to reorganize my my list, but it's just fun. I don't know how Mac does it. I'm at 400, but even this down here is like, oh shit. Wait a minute. I added this like recently, and this needs to at least be here. Right here, I'm just leaving for DLCs, which are kind of just indicators of a general sale. Things I'm morbidly curious about. Things that, you know, for the memories, like unattainable things. What happened to my watch to open? Get this off my, why is this in my stream elements? Why is drops in my stream elements thing? Get out of here. Okay. I don't know what song's gonna come on next. Bravery Network Online. Also can't. It's like you can obtain it, obviously, but it's essentially it's been like people say it's been dead. This is in 2024. If you go to their network, they're basically just gone. They're dead. Is this what I think it is? Hold up. Look, I'm a Street Fighter 4 head, but Third Strike might have had the best music. Do I believe that? 4's got some bang. 5, nah. 6, nah. Except for Alex's thing. Theme of incest, I guess. I would have got this when it's on the sale, but let me lower it a little bit. I feel like I'm yelling now. But I haven't played the game that I bought yet, so you know, Earthblade, also a dead game. Because technically I should organize this DLC. I think morbid curiosity goes above a dead game, personally. Actually, no, this is not a bad stream idea. I just don't. You know what? This is not a bad stream idea to organize all the stuff. Oh yeah, this has been in the work forever. I just am so curious. What's the price model for this thing? I know it's backed by fucking NetEase. the fucking scum, one of the scums of the fucking gaming industry. Marvel Rivals, once human. Yeah. I know they're doing ads right now. Doesn't disclose that they use AI anywhere. Interesting. Interesting. Where Winds Meet, they have to disclose that there's AI in this, right? They have to. Yeah. That was like part of the hook. Never heard of Bloodstrike. Never heard Star Hunters. Free. See, Remnants. I think this is already confirmed to have AI in it. But maybe not on the website. I don't know the others. Frag? They're publishing Fragpunk? Damn. RB. Wait, does Fragpunk use AI? At least they didn't disclose it, but they haven't disclosed a lot of things. No. So yeah. Morbidly Curious. But from, let's see where the, there's quite a few, like, stuff that was already on the list from both the Gamescom and thing. I put this back on here because the Boons sponsor stream thing. Harmony was one from the Gamescom showcase, I think. Crystal Arms is one. What is this? I don't know. This might be something I stole from Matt. Okay. Blood of Panopticon. Saw that. God's TV. That wasn't there. Night Runner. Okay, Night Runner might be the start of the Gamescom thing. Action roguelike. Tower defense, but this shit doesn't make any sense. But yeah, they have like a freaking Xenomorph that have a bunch of weird shit. It gave me who's only ever played Stalker. This giving me some real Stalker vibes from this. Some real Boss Baby vibes. That Neo Berlin. This poster worries me, but I'm just going to assume someone made it. I have like AI paranoia now. I was like detective, third-person shooter. I'm interested to see more. Similar to games you like. Maybe Cyberpunk, I don't really see this. But you know. It is what it is. Concrete Burial, which is coming out in a few weeks. Seemed cool. It's by the Dread XP guys. So I'm more inclined to like fuck with it, you know? Ringworm, Mac's been talking that up a lot. Fight Night. I can't remember if it's Fight Night, but there's like a game that plays like it. Oops. With the like sway, like the punch sway back. I can't remember if it was Fight Night or maybe it was like this is the only game they said produce. I don't really see anything similar to it. Yeah. Fever 2, another Mac recommendation. Interesting. Might be, honestly, this is a waiting for sale. Pony Island 2. Crazy pull. This Pony Island was a big like subversion game from back in the day, like from Description Devs, but like Pony Island 1 2016, I think it was earlier than that. What was it? Yeah, 10 years ago. That was a big pull. Witcher is getting like a graphical update. And then they announced an extra expansion. which means I have to go back and actually finish it, and then also have to do Blood and Wine, and also have to do Songs of the Past. They added like a bunch of mods, like a combat overhaul, skill tree overhaul, magic overhaul, like an actual good remake. Yes, I think most remakes are bad. Warlock was okay. It looked okay. Yeah, it looks okay. Woken 2, some people I know were very excited about this, so I put it on the list just cause. You know, see if it cooks or not. Some people were worried about it, some people weren't, you know. See, what's the Woken 2, Woken 1 mixed? Why is it mixed? Was abandoned. Or okay. What's what I hate about some reviews? Like the gameplay is boring. We told someone we had 2 types of skeletons, and if your levels get 1 potential use, small savages, small savages. I don't know, man. Work town building mode that gets repetitive and boring real fast. I don't know. Seems like a type of thing. Graveyard Keeper 2 seemed cool. I think it was a Dodger game back in the day. Spine Gun Fu. This seems like it will be bad, but the animations look decent enough for me to care a little bit. But I can't lie that I have like no particular like hope in it's doing good. It just seems the animation seemed neat enough for me. Eronius just seemed weird enough that to put on the list. Maybe talk to put that in like a streamer recommendations, which is the only reason why it's on here. Aeon 2, I hear it's out in the East and it's extremely pay to win. So much so that I have to know how is it pay to win. This is the same reason why I have Shadowverse still installed, just to see people complain about it, to be honest. I'm like, I'm like so morbidly curious on how you turn a game around that has such a negative start. Tides of Annihilation, it's one of those. They had like an extended look on this, I think, on the second day in the Future Game Show rather than Gamescom. And it looked like it was definitely character action. It was weird because you can get summons, and then depending on your difficulty, the summons can be permanent or not. Because you feel lonely in your character action game, known to not have companions. A genre known to not be big on companions. But oh, it is. I just get so loud in my ear. Can you feel it? It definitely has one of those Koreanisms though, where like they refuse to make anyone who's not a supermodel. Maybe you get a big guy. Into the Wind is a weird, interesting cel-shaded delivery game where you also shoot down Nazis. Well, not Nazis. The combat looked incredibly simple, but I'm guessing majority of the song started just blasting my ear. Actually, my headphones are all the way up. Might be a skill issue on my part. Yeah. Could be interesting. Left on the list for that. And then I put Town of Zoe on there because I heard there was a too mellow beat on this. Over curiosity. Is there any other big thing that I added recently? Only why 7's on here is that I heard 7 is demonstrably better than 6. But not, like, again, most positive, but not, still not anywhere near 5. Oh, Fleshy's live. Why is this still? I don't know why this is in my list still. I should honestly just take this off. I guess because it's interesting. Yeah, don't look at those games. Ooh, Booze Vector was a weird demo. I don't think I like it. But it's definitely interesting. So I kind of want to leave it on there to support. But then we're getting to, this is a different game show. Yeah, I need to go through it, delete a bunch of stuff. How much time? Oh, I sped run that. I sped ran that pretty fast, but I guess not. Oh wait, stop looking at that. Open the game. Where is the game? Open the game. Pause music. Open the game. Change. Do the streamer thing. Change your category. Which on the Holy Night. And actually, I have no way of knowing. It's switched. I'm just going to assume it's switched. Yeah. Okay. Last time we, I think we did do the extra chapter that was added. Yeah, Martha. And we learned about the Bluebird, which I thought was the crux of the, like, this is the big bad who's up to no good in the city. Or not to city, but like is secretly evaluating both Alice and Alco. No. It's some British bloke that's in love with Alice and speaks like in a Cockney accent. It's a whole thing. I was over it as soon as I come to realization. I built this dude up in my head, and he's just a fourth comic relief character has hit the Witch on the Holy Night. Fourth, maybe third, depending on if Tobey comes back around. But yeah, this is chapter 8. Are you for real? I've also been watching. I did peep another person's playthrough because I'm like, it takes so long if I wait for NPC dialogue to go through. That was actually one thing I wanted to look up. Oh, what the hell? You're telling me there are at least 4 other characters that have himself. Okay, that's crazy. I'm thinking about maybe lowering voice volume a little bit. I don't know if I want to completely mute. I just might talk over it. I just might talk over it, to be honest. Because I don't have time for this. I still blows my mind that I was like, I could finish this in a week. But chapter 8 of 13, we're well over the hump, but there's not exactly any small chapters left. So let's get on with it, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah. Are you for real? Please, surely this chapter can't also be a comic relief chapter. Surely. The older visual. Surely. They all can't be comic relief chapters. You know what I mean? Misaki High School's winter vacation began in mid-December. Winter? I guess the February one's midwinter break but that might be like a Western thing, or by Western I mean American thing. The tranquil air of the school was a refreshing change of pace from the more competitive schools and their nationally famous sports teams and exam-oriented curriculum. Again, I also stress that the whole point of reading visual novels is to improve my vocal capabilities after having long pneumonia. So, if you are watching this in the future, thank you for being patient with me. The empty, newly constructed buildings evoked images of a pure white swan descending upon a still winter lake. Okay. Sure, man. Sure. The modern school building felt alive in stillness, in spite of the absence of its lifeblood of students. Most students never knew what this building used to look like. It's just a small, rundown wooden building, a shadow of its former self. The former school was never torn down and now stood in lonely silence. It was tucked away deep in a seemingly infinite wood that stretched across the mountains. The sound of broom sweeping dead leaves resonated in the air. The oceans of leaves had accumulated into piles as big as sand dunes. Sweeping was a futile venture at this point. An ominous feeling lingered in the air, perhaps the result of 2 years of abandonment. Cleaning the inside of the building alone would take more than a few days to finish. Not to mention, this sucks. We're students, damn it, not machines. We barely get any winter break, and the student council has us out here doing this crap. Oh, it's came already. This guy that you sent here for the job wasted no time making it clear he wanted no part in the beautification efforts. At least let us wear a jacket or something. It's freezing out here. Is this part of gym class or something? Winter marathon training? And am I saying this as someone who never skips gym class? Osuke Kinomi continued to mumble and grumble to himself as he reluctantly swept away at the ground. Kinomi is in frame, is the first person we see in the chapter. This chapter is cooked. My boy skip this chapter. My boys. Sorry, my goat is streaming Hunt Showdown. Excuse me. Meanwhile, Sojiro silently and swiftly continued his sweeping, glaring at Kinomi out of the corner of his eyes. Are you seriously trying to clean up all this for real? There's only like 40 of us out here. There's no way we're going to get all this cleaned up, so who cares? 40 is pretty good numbers, man. Anything can be completed with diligence, Kinomi. Stop complaining so hard. Then we went back to idly swinging his broom without even glancing at Sojiro. Mornings on the mountains were cold. There was no hint of sun in the cloudy sky above. Ash-gray light illuminated the rear courtyard. The sharp cold of midwinter pierced through everyone's gloves, as if they did not exist. A day like this was best spent indoors under warm blankets, but for some reason, they were out here cleaning. How did the student council round up 40 kids? That's impressive. Like 40 kids in like 3 days? Like a week. There's a winter cleaning team. That was the name given to the elite force sent to clean up this dilapidated, overgrown mountain. The air students had put their faith into this team to fulfill this beautification mission, respecting them for their sacrifice. The reality, however, was that they were nothing more than a ragtag, dare-losing gang of students needing remedial lessons before their exams. They were the victims of a year-long arm-twisting scheme by the student council. Who in their right mind would come out here to sweep up leaves with a blizzard looming on the horizon? Other than one of the 40 assembled, none of them had any semblance of interest in the task at hand. Hey, Suzuki, look over there. Akebane and those guys over there roasting sweet potatoes. What is this? The 50s or something? Says a dude from the 80s. It's the rural Japanese 80s. It's like they don't even know how to roast them properly. Oh, I know. Want to grill some squid? Huh? You know, that'd be kind of badass if during my high school we were just like, fuck it, bro. Let's start a cookout mid-school. That'd be kind of sick. I don't know where we would have done it in my school. There's like literally no. What even is the closest park to my high school? I don't. Oh, I know where it is. But that's like next to a college. So I don't more of the college's park. I don't think we could have done it. Gimio did not want to be here to begin with, and was constantly trying to break Sojiro into joining him. The cleaning squad was divided into groups. Sojiro and Kinomi were in charge of cleaning behind the gymnasium. Sojiro was the leader of the platoon. Kinomi was the grunt. Look, when we finish cleaning up around this fence, you can go off and eat your sweet potato or squid or whatever it is you want, because it'll be lunch by that time. Sojiro said as he expertly packaged his swept leaves into trash bags. 2 hours had passed since they assembled on this foggy morning at 7 o'clock. While everyone else chatted and laughed as they worked, Sojiro alone had worked in complete silence at the same blistering pace since he had started. The sheer amount of work he put in was likely the only thing keeping him from complaining of the cold in his thin jersey. Come on, let's take a break. Look at the pond. Or should I say ice skating rink? No, on second thought, it's just the pond. But it's frozen solid, dude. That's how cold it is out here. I forget how thick the ice needs to be for you to walk on it. I just know there's always, at least up by me, there's always some dumbass who's gonna put their car on the ice, gonna have a cookout on the ice, and then they get a bus in the water, and then no one knows what to do to get out of the water. That you're supposed to lay flat to distribute your weight. And everyone's screening, or if you gotta make sure to resurface in time, and you have so many minutes to get warm. No one cares about biology until the morgue rolls around. No human can't work in these snowy conditions unless there's some sort of robot. We're gonna have to start eating each other to survive. This keeps up. Yes, eat the liver. Why don't you take a break for a minute? We got all these leaves together. Why don't we burn them and get warmed up? No more leaves watching. Come on. Let's grow some squid. Please. Actually, yeah, no one is watching. Why don't we just burn the leaves? It's not like we're composting all the leaves. Well, I guess, leaves don't burn very long. I guess you use them for starter fuel, I suppose. For some reason, Kenomi was droning on about his squid. He really is. Sojiro had managed to withstand the barrage of complaints from his comrade, but even he was reaching his limit. Kenomi, please. Oh my, it's the dude himself, the guy who I'm sure is going to be the false evil and it come around to save us, surely, and not that random woman at the particular parlor who we've yet to talk to anyone about, which is blowing my mind every time I boot up this game. Just then, Sojiro saw the groom himself creep behind Kenomi. In his hands, he held a rake instead of a soft bamboo broom. Sounds good to me. I'll let a bit of grilled squid slide, far be it for me to get between the big man and his squid. I'll tell you what. I'll even get you the soy sauce. I mean, shit, man. I mean, yeah, why not boost morale with a cookout? I mean, they gotta do some work, though, but... Let me shock to attention at the voice behind. Ah, Tsukiji. Is that you? Before quickly turn around, swinging his broom in the process. Actually, don't remember. I cannot... Yeah, I remember. I remember because they introduced all these three together, and I was like, there's no way I don't have three male voices on hand like that. Tobimaro easily blocked the swing with his rake. Oh, so now you want to use that broom, huh? You just can't contain all that hard-working spirit. I see. Maybe I should assign you to a special Siberian trail now. Huh. All you've done is stand over by the furnace with the girls pretending you're on the Caribbean holiday instead of out here in the freezing cold. Both boys glared at each other with a weary smile. Broom and rake locked in an embrace. These two were only friendly with each other on school grounds. Tobimaru, please don't distract him anymore that he already is. He's already doing negative work. He's actively like distracting the work being done. Both of them scoffed angrily and put away their weapons. They both knew better than to argue with Tobimaru, the only one cleaning with a garbage bag in hand. Something we can help you with, Tobimaru. I don't know why I had a stroke. Oh, you were too busy pretending to tend to the fire over at the furnace. A harsh comment. And apparently even Tobimaru had a slight taste for drama. So it comes to this. Even the upstanding seems like you are looking down on me now. Tobimaru seemed sad at Sojiro's observation. But as long as Tobimaru continued to claim he was helping the girls clean by doing nothing more than standing in front of a pile of burning leaves, Sojiro found it hard to sympathize. So they are burning the leaves. But they were composting it. Just tell us, what do you want? We're actually busy doing work over here, unlike some people. Okay. Oh, that's so. So, lucky for you, it's almost break time. Let's get warmed up over there. Oh, break time? Now you're talking. Huh? Not for you, idiot. Only people who've actually done some work today can take a break. If you want to come stand by the furnace, then bring me enough leaves to fill a cart. Until then, keep sweeping. That's not a lot of leaves if they're on the mountain. Oh, I have rights, you know. This is abuse of power. Kinomi's complaints naturally fell on deaf ears. Tobimaro had been selected to lead the cleaning operation, and his words were final. If Konomi were to continue to push his buttons, he knew he would be on cleaning duty tomorrow and the next day too. Alright, here we go, people. Don't ask me why, but we have a bunch of cans of sweet red bean soup. Some meat buns would have been better, but what we required, that would have required a certain someone to use their brain. We've also had some emerging chocolate. God damn. What the hell was she thinking? We reassured Tobimaro by saying that he thought the food would do just fine for everyone. I don't think I've ever had red bean soup. Huh? What, you're not coming? I'm gonna stay here. You can just burn some leaves to stay warm if Konomi, like Konomi said. We got a pond right there, so we can just easily put it out when we're done. That little thing in the corner? That little thing down the corner. Calling that a pond. That's a puddle. This was clearly for Konomi's benefit. Tobimaro furrowed his brow while Konomi shivered from the cold. Is that the glimmer of friendship I just saw? You know what? You're as pure as snow is white. This is nuts. Just wait here, Suzuki. I'm gonna go grab the potatoes from Akibane. So he's gonna slack off still. This motherfucker. Perhaps shy to show his true feeling, Konomi ran off to the neighboring group. I figured you'd say that. Here. Tobimaro pulled out a hot can from his jersey pocket, scratching his head in exacerbation. He pulled out 3 in all, 1 for each jersey pocket and 1 from his pants pocket. Let's get a fire going. I want to chill over here too. I guess we both know how to deal with people, huh? The girl quickly prepared the leaves for the fire, carefully gathering them up for them to burn. Sorry, I got distracted because I just realized in this jersey, you see that his bandaging doesn't go all the way down his chest. It's just his neck, which is even more interesting. Because I thought it was his whole chest, and he had like some wounds or something scratched onto it. You're pretty good at that. Yeah, it's easy when you have matches. Yeah, it's easy. Dude, making a fire without matches is like you have if you had a group of 4, you would essentially have to have someone do that all day and then pass it off. Oh my god. And I can't even, and I had to do that with a string. I can't even imagine no string. I think I would just rather spend the day finding a flint. Shoujo crouched down in front of the burning leaves and warmed his hands near the flames. Even though he showed no signs of being cold, beneath it all, Sojiro was cold too. He gazed into the fire as the smoke rose from the pile of leaves, as if remembering the good times from his past. Tobimaro felt a touch of concern as he looked at Sojiro. He saw within him his homesickness and retrospection. He also saw a dark shadow looming over him, like a stranger in a foreign land without a home. You don't look too good, Sojiro. I suppose I am a little tired. If you need to talk, I'm here for you. Just let me know. Tobimaro continued speaking with the pull tab from the can of sweet red bean soup still around his index finger. His huge ass index fingers. Now that I'm looking at these mittens. Sojiro was focused on the fire. Oh yeah. While you were taking a break from school, Awazaki slugged me. She was saying I got a big mom. Wow. Congratulations. This fucking idiot. You mean congratulations. The Thai Sojiro replied incoherently like this. Tobimaro chalked it up to the cultural differences. Say, how are things going with Awazaki anyway? Used to walk with her to the train station before exams. And things been going well since then. It was obvious to everyone that was far from the case. Yeah, Tobimaro asked anyway. Yeah. This fucking idiot. 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 Yeah, we live together now. Sojiro went with the truthful, blunt response.
ああ、そうか。一緒と来たか。
Wow, I see. That's quick dating already, huh? Tomura tried to laugh off Sojiro's all too casual confession, however.
はあ、一緒に住んでるぞ。
Wait, you live together?
どうした飛び丸火でも飛んだか
Are you okay, Torimaru? The spark hit you, and then Torimaru's gonna sneak up there, and then he's gonna see the magic, and then we're gonna fumble, and we're gonna keep fumbling because then we have to kill Torimaru because he's way too smart.
飛んでねえし、それより怖え。おい。
No, worse, my friend, you said the wildest thing I ever heard. Sojiro protested. Torimaru's reply was silence. You're not joking, are you? One day you're barely interested in girls, and next you're shacked up with one? Torimaru has always felt that he and Sojiro were an equal match strength-wise. For some reason, he could not shake the feeling that Sojiro was not superior in the brain department. Sojiro cast a rare, angry glance to Torimaru's direction.
こっちこそ聞き捨てならない
That was awfully rude.
なんだその女に興味はないってのは
What do you mean I'm not interested in girls? Sojiro seemed genuinely angry. His voice was icy. What do you mean I'm not straight? What are you talking about, brother? Oh, it's because he had a thing for Alice now. Yeah. This uncharacteristic level of anger from Sojiro was enough to get Torimaru to back down.
いや、悪い。
Hey, look, I was out of line. I just assumed a few things. I apologize.
けどよ、
But seriously, what do you mean you're living with her? This all seems way too fast for you.
別に君が期待しているようなことはない
Renting a
彼
room
女
in
が
her
住んで
house.
屋根の裏にある部屋なん
It's
だ
up in the attic, but it reminds me of a mountain cottage, so it's kind of like it. Torimaru did not bat an eyelid at hearing that Sojiro now lived in the attic. He continued his questioning.
屋敷って、あのクオンジの屋敷。
Meanwhile, we're talking about that mansion. The Kwanji mansion?
それこそまさかだ
It's
ぜ。
out of the world. What kind of wizard are you to pull that off? Huh? You know the place, Torimaru?
そりゃな。
Come on, dude.
これでも
You're talking to the heir to the
期
Suke's
待の
throne
後と
here.
ぜ俺は。
Of course I know about the mansion, where the first daughter of Kwanji group lives. She's a sophomore at the Reinin Girls Academy, right?
確か。
Okay. You did any research?
何
Kwanji, what? Brother, you live there. Every chapter I'm baffled how stupid he is. Sojiro was looking more confused than ever, so Torimaru reluctantly explained everything as simple as he could so Sojiro could understand.
クオンジグルー
The
プ。
Kwanji group, well, they're more like a foundation, really. All you need to know is that the whole family is loaded, and they own and manage various companies together. They're not quite a conglomerate, but they're a big deal in the exports industry. They used to operate out of England because their old chairman loved the place. But things kind of went south about 5 years ago, so they moved all their operations back here. I didn't know that.
本拠地をこっちに移
5
してからは
years.
ご存知の通りだ。会長が息子に移って
Since
から
their son took
きちん
over,
と持
things
ち直
have
して
rebounded for them, and that's why you see their name plastered around town. They contributed like half the funds required to rebuild our school.
この学校の立て直し予算の半分は連中
Wait, so the
から
school
だし
wasn't
な
here 5 years ago? Or it was dilapidated 5 years ago? And Alice has a big brother who may or may not be a wizard. Or warlock or whatever the fuck. Interesting. Not a filler chapter. Crazy. Despite the oversimplified explanation, Sojiro still seemed not to be getting it. With that, Torimaru decided to give up on trying to explain.
あれだ
They're filthy rich,
そう
okay?
そうの字が
You know
働い
that
てる
coffee place you work at? The Kwanji's
クオンジが向こうから持って
brought
きた
that
ブランドだ
franchise
ぜ
here. Now they're a national chain.
つまりすごく偉いんだね
Okay, so they're very rich and very important.
なら
Weird.
なんであんなに倹約
That's
し
the
てるん
case.
だ
Then why is she so frugal all the time? There was a moment incoherently to himself. Torimaru looked at him with a complex expression on his face, somewhere between envy and heartfelt sympathy.
しかし
Whatever the case,
うまいことやったな
you've done good for yourself, buddy.
それで
Tell me the truth, though. When a guy and a girl living under the same roof,
男
only one thing can
と
happen.
女が同
Am
じ
I right? This
案外
guy.
古いな鳥
That's a surprisingly old-fashioned thought for you to have, Torimaru.
抜かせ
Oh, give me a
そのあた
break.
りをごまかしてた
What kind of guy is afraid to talk about this kind of stuff? Okay,
そりゃあごもっとも
I
実
suppose
に
you're right.
正直な話
But the truth is, though Sojiro and Ako were living together, there was absolutely no chemistry between them. Though that was not to say living in close quarters as they did, unintended mishaps did not occur from time to time. But even still,
驚くぐらいそ
you'd
う
be
いうことには
surprised
なってない
how nothing like that goes on. The
Oh,
mansion's
yeah,
pretty
it's
huge
so
after all. Everyone's often busy with their own affairs, so there was no opportunity for that sort of thing to happen.
そもそもだな。
I mean,
もし
answer
そ
me
んな俺だ
this.
ったら
Would you simply make
下宿
advances
先
on
が同じ
Aozaki
って
just
ことだ
because
け
you
で
were living under the same
青崎
roof?
いや
Nope,
ならねえ
never. Toro nodded intently as he was thinking back over his many ex-relationships.
いや健全
Well
だな
This all sounds very wholesome.
ああ健全だろ
Yeah, I feel great. Dojuro had no more than a quick affirmation to Tobimaru's despondent murmur. He was doing fine, but besides his physical health, it was surely Sojiro's personality that enabled him to maintain any semblance of peace dealing with both Hoko and Alice while living in the mansion.
でも
That
そ
mansion.
れとは別の話で
On an unrelated note, I am totally indebted to Aozaki.
彼女にはもう
I'm not
返
sure
せ
how
な
I
い
can even
金があって
repay
さ
her what she's done for me. Sojiro's eyes turned slightly serious as she stared at the fire. Tobimaru felt that there was more to those words than Sojiro was letting on.
もう返せ
So
ない
you owe her
借り
big
だ
time, huh? Sojiro merely nodded in silence as Tobimaru's inquisitive acknowledgement. And just then, a strange scream pierced through the still silence of the wood like a knife.
なんか
Hear that?
聞こえた
ああ木の実
Yeah.
だ
And it was Konomi. Oh, we could have let this dude get killed, man, honestly. Sojiro had already stood up before he responded. They bolted to the frozen pond, broke the ice with his broom, scooped up some frigid water in a bucket, and threw it on the fire, all in less than 10 seconds. Then he immediately ran off into the depths of the woods from where he heard the scream. Tomura followed after him in a panic, confused.
飛び丸この先に何かあるのか
Tomura, you know what's down this way?
確か旧校舎が残ってるはず
The
だ
remains of the old school building should be here. It's gonna be haunted,
野犬の
right?
住処とかそういう嫌な話は
Anything else, you know? Like a pack of wild dogs or bad stuff like that?
は
Huh? No,
Yeah.
dude.
いるとしても
Anything.
鹿かウ
It
サ
could just
ギ
be
じゃね
some
えか
deer or rabbits or something.
なら怖がることもないか
And there's nothing to be afraid of.
急ごう飛び
Let's
丸
hurry. Perhaps because of his time spent growing in the mountain, Sojiro quickly sprinted over the slippery dead leaves. Tomaru was not particularly cautious himself, but nevertheless, he could not keep up with Sojiro in here. For long, Sojiro found himself running alone. When foliage blocked the natural trail, he would sometimes clear it away with the forest. But just as often, he would expertly weave through the brush. It was clear that he was used to dealing with this level of nature. After a few minutes, yeah, this place is dilapidated. After a few minutes, Sojiro arrived at the clearing. The wall of trees had ended. It was an obvious man-made clearing here on the mountainside. In the distance was what looked like an old wooden school building. It was a small, aesthetically pleasing building no larger than an elementary school lost in the depths of the winter wilderness.
Kinami!
Konomi. Konami's still alone on the old school grounds.
Huh?
Hey,
なんで
what are you doing
静ま
here,
で追いかけ
Suzuki? Sour question came over Sojiro's face as Konami tilted his head in
そっ
confusion.
ちこそどうしたんだ変な声上
That's
げ
what I
て
want to know. What was that scream all about?
声
Huh?
い
What
やそりゃ
scream?
ガキ相手に怒鳴ったけどよ
I was just pissed at this dumb
ほら
kid.
あのガキだよ
Look, there he is.
芋持ってる
I
だ
know
ろ
he's got some potatoes on him. Damn
中
it.
に
You
握
let
り
him
込
run
み
off inside. And he pointed resentfully toward the old school building. There was indeed somebody standing at the entrance to the building, just over 300 feet in the distance.
ったくこんな上まで来や
What
が
the
って
hell is he doing up
いつ
there?
から子供の遊び場になってんだここ
Is this where the kids hang out nowadays? Konami shrugged his shoulders to signal how little he cared that the young children did with their time. This place was deep in the woods, but it's not particularly dangerous. Sojiro had run through the wood to get here, but there's also a paved road leading to the spot from outside the woods too. Konami apparently followed the road to get here.
ん
Hmm.
子供
A child. Sojiro squinted.
ああ金髪なんでさっきはちょっと驚いたけどな外国人の子
Yeah,
供っ
yeah,
てなん
blonde
か
hair,
怖い
which
だ
kind
ろ
of freaked me out. Foreign kids are scary, man. Huh? Yeah, fucking send this dude to the fucking shredder. Blondes? The only person we know is blonde is Tobimaru. It's indeed quite rare to see a foreigner in professional towns such as Mizaki. Sojiro had never even seen a foreigner in person, which made the whole thing even more mysterious.
それで木の実はなんでここまで？
Why did you feel the need to run all the way up here again?
いや、赤羽たちがよ、ガキに食料を奪われたって言うからここまで追いかけてきたん
And
だ。
Akabane said the stupid kids stole their food, so I was chasing him down and ended up here.
そういう
What?
ことだから、二人がかりであのお子様とっちめようぜ。
Since you're here, let's team up and see if we can catch him.
怖いことを考
Why
え
we
る
catch?
な。
Dude,
木
it
の実は
ain't this dire for some roasted sweet potatoes. That's a little menacing, Konami. Sojiro could not find it in him to agree with his plan. It seemed unfair to tag team up against a little kid.
いいから帰ろう。
Come
あの
on,
子こっちを
let's
睨
head
んでるじゃない
back.
か。
This kid over there is just staring at
それ
us.
に飛び丸にこんなと
And
ころ見ら
besides,
れた
Supermouse
ら
sees up here
冬
slacking
休
off.
み
We're
中
gonna
ず
get
っと
cleaning
山の
spot
掃
for
除
the
で終わ
whole
ることになる
winter
ぞ。
break. Sojiro took Kinomi by the shoulders and began leading him back to the path he came from. Kinomi cast one last gaze at the old school building before reluctantly following. Just then, Tobimaro appeared, panting and out of breath.
早いな。
How are you?
操縦
So
の。
fast. Tobimaro could hardly catch his breath. He arrived about 3 minutes behind Sojimaru, despite having a good set of legs.
それでどうした？
So what's
Kinomi,
going on? Are you
where'd you
alright, Kinomi?
は？
Yeah,
無事
yeah,
に
I'm
何
fine.
を
What
殿
about
下こ
you,
そどっ
Your
た？
Highness? Kinomi seemed perplexed by Tobimaru's first effort to displayed concern for him.
なんだそれ。
What the hell is that
て
supposed
め
to
え
be? You're out here in the
あれだけ
middle
の
of
大
nowhere
声を
screaming
上げて
bloody
おいて
murder, and what am I
し
supposed
ら
to
ばっ
think?
くれる気か？
You were worried.
すまない。こっち
That's
の
my
早と
fault,
ちりだ
I
った。
guess. I jumped to conclusions.
飛び丸は知らないだろ
You
うけど、
probably
木の
have
実は
heard of
時
him
々
do it, but
バイト
sometimes
先でも規制
at
を上げ
work,
る癖
Kinomi
が
has
あ
a
るん
habit of
だ。
letting out a weird yell like that. Kinomi looked disapproving as Sojiro nonchalantly shared this insight. Wait, Kinomi looked disapprovingly as Sojiro nonchalantly shared this insight. This was the first he had ever heard of it.
怪しいな。
I'm not
また
buying
よからぬ
it. You're
こ
up
と
to
でも
something,
たく。
aren't you?
ないよ。
Of course
戻
not.
って掃
Come
除の
on,
続きをする
Tobimaro.
ぞ。
There's cleaning to be done. Sojiro pat Tomura on the shoulder a couple times and started walking. Tomura cast a doubtful glare in his direction as he meandered off. He had a feeling that Sojiro was covering for Kinomi somehow.
まさか旧校舎に火なんてつけてない
You
だろ
didn't
う
set that
な。
old school building on fire,
誰
did
もし
you?
ないよ
Of。course
そんな
not.
ことは。
Who'd even do that? Sojiro kept walking and didn't even look back at Tobimaru as he spoke. Tomura and Kinomi tilted their heads in confusion as they reluctantly followed the unusually aggressive Sojiro back to their cleaning spot. And so the special winter cleaning team's activities ended uneventfully. So let me guess. Because nothing happened at the school, that's the next battleground, is the abandoned school. The next time was 3 in the afternoon. Upon departing, Kinomi and his crew invited Sojiro to come out and hang with them. AI viewers? No way! Excuse me, let me okay, let's see. Yeah, let's report this guy first. Check messages. Trying to sell bots. Submit. Close. And permaban. How new was that account? 3 days. Come on, it's lively. Upon departing, Kinomi and his crew invited Sojiro to come out and hang with them. But he declined politely due to his job that evening. He had about 2 hours until his shift began. Not quite enough time to do anything fun, but enough time to fill it with something. Sojiro thought about relaxing in the park somewhere, but quickly changed his mind after remembering how cold it was, even in the city. Not to forget that Aoko had handed him those pills in the morning. Aoko was absolutely correct in her prediction. Heading back to the mansion now would be just the waiting time. There was no reason for him to return to the mansion until after his shift at work. Still, Sojiro found himself on the way back anyway. Having grown up deep in the mountains, a little 2-hour walk was really no sweat off his back. Misaki was one of the more quiet residential areas in Misaki City. The only thing that really stood out were the Shiro Inuzuka. It was a hill that led directly into the woods. The silhouette of the mountain served as a backdrop to suburbia, silently overshadowing the small human actions of the people who lived there. Even in the modern day of technological progress, the people here were always careful to pay reverence to the nature around them. If that mansion were a shrine, it would not be a haunted house, but a famous tourist attraction. Wait, I just realized something. Houses around Shiranozuki were all magnificent. Sojiro understood as he looked from the bottom of the hill where the rest of the town lived, as the roof of the mansion tucked away in the woods. He understood that Tobimari was talking about how the Kawanji family who owned the mansion might be the richest people in town. They really do hate me. Why else would they ask for rent? Sojiro began walking towards the mansion with such thoughts shimmering in his mind. The feeling of that hard asphalt beneath his feet instead of soft dirt felt lonely and isolating. He walked along the paved road for 10 minutes or so before reaching the iron fence of the wood. For 10 minutes? Brother, there's no... What kind of pace did he have for 10 minutes? Beyond this fence was the private property of the Kawanji family. It was bereft of any awkward no trespassing signs. The tall, overbearing iron fence was more than enough to remind visitors that they were unwelcome there. The girl casually pushed on the iron gate. Only 2 days had passed since the end of the final exams, and he already seemed more than comfortable with the idea of entering this wood alone. The path to the mansion from inside the wood curved and bent like a snake. It took about 15 minutes to reach the mansion on this path. Wait, so it took 10 minutes for you to leave the city, but it takes you 15 minutes through the woods. Oh, through the wind. It does wind. 15 minutes of winding path to get to the actual mansion. He could have chosen to ignore the long incline and travel in a straight line through the wood, but he would have expended significantly more energy in doing so. No, using the wooded path was a sensible option, barring an emergency. Upon entering the foyers, Sojiro heard a conversation come from the drawing room. It was no doubt Aoko and Alice. Sojiro decided to join them. Ever since final exams had ended, Aoko and Alice had switched from their daily routine to a more irregular schedule. Aoko would disappear into Alice's room in the west wing of the mansion for a while, where she would remain, and Alice would go into Aoko's room, not to be seen again. Okay. Or they would vanish into corridors leading around to the rear of the mansion, doing who knows what, where Sojiro was most certainly not allowed to enter. Not to mention, not that he was interested in what they were doing, since Aoko and Alice did not seem to want to include him either, serving both parties nicely. For the time being, the Kawanji state was pretty peaceful. But they're still hunting a rogue magician, aren't they? I'm home. Sojiro quietly opened the door to the drawing room. Even though they had tried not to be involved in each other's business, Sojiro made it a habit to greet them. The two girls sat across from him on the sofa. On the table in front of them was a large, extravagantly decorated mirror. Aoko was dressed for comfort, wearing jeans instead of her usual skirt. In stark contrast, Alice is wearing her usual all black. Even though the break from school was well underway, the witch still insisted on wearing black. As Aoko had explained, it was probably because it was too much of an effort for Alice to wear anything else. So her thought was that he would like to see her wear something different. Aoko and Alice seemed to be in the middle of some sort of dispute. The air in the drawing room was tense. They both ignored the greeting. Alice only briefly looked up at him. What about the Tokawa point? Pillow is white. The pillow is white. So hopefully it won't... I don't even know. I lost the voice. How do I even do the voice again? So hopefully it won't be too easy to remove. Yeah.
今のところトーカワは侵食されていないけど、
It's still active, but
一つ隣の鈴子の視点が消された以上、
has gone.
楽観
So
は
we
でき
can't
な
really
い
be
わ。
too careful.
残りの
I
上たち
can't
は
do like I said.
今
I
まで
can't
よ
do
り
it.
早くなる。
So we can't really be too careful. I can't do it. With each sigil they discover, They get better at finding the others.
そっか。一個
That
釣れ
makes
れば
sense.
あとは芋づる式
I
だもん
guess once we
ね。
found one. I don't know why they give her a fucking. They can find the other connection.
反省したわ。
I really
甘
messed
く見
up.
てた
I
の
should
は
have
こ
been
っち
more
の方だっ
careful.
た。
This is going to turn this into a wheelie battle soon. The two continue to heated discussion from the opposite sides of the table. Well, yo, that's a slick trench coat, Sojiro. Ako neglected to even glance up at Sojiro. Sojiro sensed that she wanted to concentrate on the discussion at hand.
でも消せないな。
It's so strange, though.
あの夜に人形を出してく
Setting
るタイ
aside
ミン
the
グとい
times
い。
of the puppet that
隠
night
し
and
方
how
だけは
quickly they
一
were
級
able to
品の
find
うち
our
の視点を
expertly
短
hidden
期間で
sigil.
特定すること
Whoever it
といい。
is most definitely has to have
こい
some
つ
kind of hideout in the
な
city.
のに、なんで結
But
果
if
に
that's
異
the
常が
case,
ない
why
ん
aren't they
だろう。
detecting any abnormalities in
岬
the
市
field?
一帯の索
The
敵
drain,
網は
the
もう
drag,
100年
the
近く破ら
dragon
れたことがないのに。
around Misaki City hasn't even been broken for nearly 100 years. Ako bit her nails nervously while Alice nodded along. It seemed as though she was wondering the same thing.
母も
Even
ここの
my
結
mother
界に
wasn't
は
able
触れ
to
なかっ
touch the bounded field.
た。岬の結界をかい
The
く
only
ぐる
person
に
capable
は
of getting through
あなた
Misaki's
のおじ
bounded
いさん
field
か
would have been
それ以
your
上の技量
grandmother
を持
or
つ魔
even
術師でない
more
と
capable
難しい。
mage.
けどそれほどの
Someone
魔術師
excluding
なら
that level of
逆
magical
に
energy
気配は
would
隠し
find
き
it
れない。
that much harder to cover his or her tracks.
何か特殊な音響法
Maybe
か
some
もし
kind
れ
of
ないわ
unique
ね。
concealment ward.
こ
But
こ
I
数
haven't
年
heard anything about any
新し
new
いサークル
fairy
の
circles
話は
forming
聞か
these
ないけ
past
ど
few years.
何？シャウト
Who
の
was
森
that? Sherwood
メイ
Fox?
キングなら以
The
前
May King was able to
アリ
break
スの
through
霧
your
を粉
mist,
砕した
remember?
じゃない。
Don't you think there's some sort of concealment stronger than that?
例えばの話よ。
What I'm saying
今回
is
の相手
whoever
は
we're dealing with
こちら以上
who
の
has
技量を
skills
持っ
greater
てい
than
る
our own.
か、
Maybe there are
こちら
some
の知ら
techniques
ない
we
技術を
aren't
持ってい
aware
る
of.
か、どちらにせよ
Either way, we need
評
to
価を改め
reevaluate
るべき
things.
ね。
Might be under more pressure than we
私たち。
thought. The two fell silent. Sojiro, after some internal deliberation, decided to break the silence.
やあ、ただいま。
So, I'm home. Ako finally looked up at him in response to his hesitant declaration.
いいからお風呂に入ってきた
That's
ら。
fine, Sojiro,
汚
but
れてるわよ。
would you please
掃
take a
除
bath?
法。
You're dirty. And with that, Ako returned her gaze to the mirror. Alice briefly looked up at Sojiro again before also returning her gaze to the mirror. Perhaps feeling at least somewhat satisfied with his greeting, was announced. Sojiro left the drawing room and closed the door behind him. Ako was right. His clothes were a little soiled.
そうだな。
It's a waste of water, but I guess I should. Sojiro returned to his room. I hate his fucking his thoughtless gaze. Figured that a bath might actually feel pretty nice in the cold weather, despite not really having broken his sweat at all during the day. Also, I realized there is a song that gets the VOD partially muted, and I'm realizing it might be this one. He climbed the stairs from the foyer and down to the second flight into the attic. So we have to keep talking over it. Unlike the other rooms in the mansion, this one had no frills to its decor. It's a little cumbersome to use as a living space, but comfortable enough for Sojiro. Everywhere else in the mansion was a little too gaudy for his taste. As far as a shelter and a place to sleep went, Sojiro was more than satisfied with his accommodations. There was no electricity in the attic. The only light was that which crept in from a small skylight. Not that Sojiro minded, he was more accustomed to living without electricity than living with it. Well, with only faint winter light to guide him, he readily changed his clothes, change of clothes and a towel before heading down to the foyer. Despite the magnificent size of the mansion, there was only one bath in the whole building. One fucking... It has wings, but one bath. Nah, what were they cooking? And not a particularly large one at that. Whoever the architect would, she must not have thought a bath to be so important. Or perhaps they were not the bath type. Are there showers at least? Sort of descended to the foyer. There must be like a ton of half baths at least. Descended to the foyer and made his ways back to the stairs. He knocked on the door in the bath and expected no one's answer from the other side. The only other two occupants of the mansion were still talking in the drawing room. After confirming it was unoccupied, Sojiro quietly entered the bathroom. Sojiro was not aware of it himself, as was common for him. The only hobby he had acquired since coming down from the mountain was taking a nice, relaxing bath. Sojiro had left, but the two girls were still locked in their heated discussion. Needless to say, the topic of the conversation was still that of the outsider mage who had appeared in Misaki City last month. This was, after all, the problem that had occupied their time before this whole situation with Sojiro arose, dealing with and eliminating the interloper who had set his sights on their territory.
今まではおとりにばっか
All
り
this
食いつ
time,
い
we've
て
been
たから甘く見
preoccupied
てたけど
by decoy.
それも
No,
計
that
算づく
also
だ
a
ったの
part
か
of
しら
their
ね
plan.
こっちが油断してる隙に
Nay,
本命を一つ
while
奪わ
we're
れた
distracted, they've crept in and stole another one.
この相手との
The
戦
fight
い
against this mage
こ
only
れからが
just begun. I'm definitely fucking up her accent. The situation was growing more dire by the day. Until only a couple days ago, the enemy had limited themselves to small skirmishes, but now they had shifted to a full-on offensive. Alco had two major battlefields she used for defense. One, the larger of the two, was placed around Misaki City to deflect magical energy and magecraft. This was used to observe and monitor visitors from outside the city. It was initially set up by Aozaki's ancestors, the administrators of this territory, and had no way to be removed. The other was set up to energize and manage ley lines from within the territory. The 5 sigils carved into the earth made a standard square type array, protecting all that lay within its bounds. After some manipulation of the mana flow, the power within was directed to accumulate at the Kwanji estate. They used to say the battlefields existed to monopolize the magical energy within the Misaki city, where there were 5 sigils and stotos within the Kanji state, with the Kwanji state located in the center. If all 5 sigils were forcibly removed, Aozaki's jurisdiction over this territory would be in title only. Without the power of the land to back them up, they would be forced to fight against their invaders on equal ground, with only their own innate abilities to protect them. The only reason Alice and the inexperienced Alco were able to defend this territory so far was because of these 2 fields. The dragonet was that notified Aozaki of any threats was their lifeline. But this time, their enemy had somehow slipped through the cracks and was running rampant. This is what the girls had to face up to.
どちらにせよ時間の問題ね。
Either way, it was just a matter of time at this point.
視点がすべて潰され
Once
た
all
ら
the sigils are destroyed, this
いよいよ
mansion
こ
will
こ
be
で
our
の
last
路上にな
stronghold
るけど
defense.
いいの？
Are you okay with that, Alco?
別にいいんじゃない
I mean, what are the
アリ
choices
ス
we
の言う
had?
通り残りの
Like you
視
say,
点を消
there's
され
only
る
a
のは
matter
時
of
間の
time
問題
before
なん
the
だし
sigils are destroyed.
そりゃ敵の
Our
ア
best
ジトを
chance
発
would be
見
to
でき
find
れ
their
ば大
hideout,
文字だ
but
け
it's
ど
not exactly a
それは
necessity.
絶対必要
They
って
can
こ
remove
と
the
じゃない
sigils
でし
for
ょ
all I care.
何より
As long as
館
you're
の
here,
守りはあ
then
ん
the
たがい
mansion
る
itself
限
shouldn't
り
be a
万全
problem
だし
to the
あ
Fane.
っちの方から
And
や
if
って
they
きてく
do,
れるなら
then
それこそ飛んで火
we're
に入
marching
るよ
to their own demise.
他に心配事なんてな
What
い
else
で
is
し
there
ょ
to worry about? A little
そ
simple-minded.
うね。
Nothing, I
敵が
suppose.
一人だけなら
Only a single
そ
opponent
の
to
時
deal
は
with.
鏡の範囲をここに
We're
集
better
中
off
させ
focusing on
て
the fields of the
戦場
mirror
にすればいい。
on the estate and making this mansion our last line of defense. Alice touched the mirror on the table with her pale finger. The surface of the mirror rippled like water. The mirror was another protector of Misaki cities, separate from Aozaki's bounded fields. More accurately, it was a ploy that existed only to protect Alice Kwanji rather than Misaki City herself. It generated a thick fog and acted as an invitation to any visitors drawing them into its board game-like world. Alice referred to only as the mirror, but was known to her friends as the Mirror of Slumber. This was the magecraft that Alice Kwanji wielded. Within the rippling surface of the mirror, an image of a castle began to form in a lush forest, a field, and a river. Alco stared at the mirror in silence, before suddenly jumping to her feet off the sofa.
そうと決まれば
Now
あ
that's
とは
all
行動あ
decided.
るのみね
We can get back to actually doing stuff.
出かけるわよアリ
I'm
ス
going out, Alice.
とにかく
We can't
現場を見ないこと
Do
に
anything
始
until
ま
we
る
have eyes on the ground. I let out a tired sigh in response to Alco's determination, then gave the mirror a gentle caress. The sound of dripping water filled the room. The mirror began to consume the table in a thick fog with a single caress from
順番
Alice.
に回るのなら
If we were to visit each sigil, we'll definitely won't be back until morning.
まあまあそう
なあ
強がらないで
Nah, we'll be home in no time.
ところでアリス
Oh, right,
火の
I
五
meant
芒
to
星
ask
の
you,
退去ってこうだっ
is
け
there a proper way to do a fire or pentagram banishment? What are you saying? Alco traced a shape in the air with her fingers. She mimed a star shape, starting from the top, moving down to the right, from there to the upper left, and so on.
そろそろ壊すこと以外
It's
も
about
覚
time
え
you
ない
learn.
とダメよ
It's about time you
青子
learn something other than how to break things, Alco. Al sat up from the sofa, letting out a heavy sigh. They both took off their coats from the hangers and left the drawing room.
失礼ね
Well,
私だって日々成長してるわよ
I guess I need to study some more on top of all the studying I already do.
この間のおまじない
Remember
だっ
that
て
charm I
ちゃんと
pulled
成
off
功し
on
た
the
んだ
other
から
day? Just the
お
other
まじ
day?
ない
What charm?
簡単な暗示の呪文
The simple mesmer.
ほらアリス
You
が
know
教
the
えてく
ones
れ
you
た
taught me?
軽く
Light and
弱
frail,
く
nimble and
う
quick.
まく
Tick
早
tock,
く
tick tock.
チック
There's
タ
no
クチックタ
time to
ク
waste. That one.
それ本当
Are you being serious right now?
ほんともほんと後でそう
Yes, I'm
聞
being
いてみな
serious.
さ
You can
い
ask Soldier Relay if you don't believe me. I swallowed her words, clearly displeased. She lightly stopped herself in time to realize it was not worth the effort to take issue with it.
けど留守中
On that topic,
その彼は
what
ど
will
う
he
する
do while we're away?
大丈夫でしょう
He'll be fine.
アリスの西
He'll
館
be
と
fine,
赤
as
角
long
に
as he
入らなきゃ
doesn't
即死するようなこと
try to get into the West Wing or anything like that. There shouldn't be any immediate threat to his. Akko responded hastily as she opened the door to the foyer. As soon as she did, just as quickly as his doubt has got stuck in her throat, Akko suddenly froze, unable to speak.
あですって
What? For a moment, Akko wasn't sure who was standing there before her. She could only stare at the glint rays of sunlight creeping into the room as she reeled from the shock. What, that he's fucking ripped? Her mind was completely blank. It was as if she had just woken up from a nap or the jack-in-the-box had opened in her face. Sojiro was probably the only person who truly knew how long that dumbfounded silence went on.
あんたこんなところ
What
で
the
何
hell
し
are
て
you
るの
doing
よ
standing there like that? Akko finally found her voice.
何って着替えてるんだけど
He's ripped, but what's up with his arms? What? I'm changing clothes. George responded, as a matter of fact. He offered no explanation as to why he was changing in the foyer and not the bathroom. Akko was too shocked to read him the riot act. George was putting a shirt on after presumably getting out of the bath. His neck was wrapped in bandages and was completely shirtless. His hair was wet, but his skin was glistening from the steam of hot water. He must have washed himself with nothing more than cold water. Though shocked as to why anyone would do such a thing in cold weather, she let it slide. The source of her silent stupor was simply his body. Until now, she only seen him as harmless, but without clothing to hide him. However, he was more fit than she'd ever imagined. Oh my god. For a rough mountain upbringing, there was one's body and strength commit survival. Perhaps he was even a bit underdeveloped. On top of that,
それ
are those
傷跡なの？
scars? Are those scars? Whatever. Akko asked cautiously. Joe followed her gaze. He had something that looked like a burn scar on his arm. It was random in appearance, but nothing like Akko's magic crest with its ordered patterns.
ああこれか
This?
ずいぶん前
I
に野
got
犬の
it
群れに
long
襲わ
ago.
れて
I was attacked by a pack of wild dogs and they bit me. It's a miracle
命があっただけでも幸
I'm
運だから
even still alive.
傷跡
So
ぐ
if
らいはご愛
anything,
嬌だ
not anything I'm fond of. So if anything, I'm fond of the scar. That's not a bite mark, my friend. On Lumgo, he must be talking about when he was a child. Though his life was saved, it was apparent that he hadn't been able to see proper treatment deep in the mountains where he lived. Those scars were proof of that. Yeah, maybe. Considered it happened so many years ago, it was likely they would never fade. If only for an instant, Akko thought the wild scars left on his skin suited his lean body perfectly.
確かにあまり気持
I
ち
know
の
it's
いい
not
ものじゃない
present to
な
look at. I should have just changed in my own room. Theodore sounded slightly ashamed as he put on his shirt. Looking at Akko standing there in cold silence, Dukos had no response. Theodore headed for the stairs to go back to his room.
ちょっと待ってソジロ
Wait a second, Sojiro.
Hmm?
Sojiro stopped and turned around.
あうん
So how
なんていう
do
か
I say this? Akko looked away awkwardly, apparently not knowing why she had stopped him himself. Huh?
なんか青崎らし
This
く
isn't
ない
like you, Aozaki.
さっきから変だけど
You're acting strange.
Netsu
Did
で
you
も
get a
あるんじゃ
fever
な
or
いのか
something? I bet neither
あ
of
れ
you
から
have
満
gotten
足に寝
enough
てない
sleep
だろ二人とも
since all that, have you? You have, of course, referring to the final exams. From Soldier's perspective, the amount of work Akko put in seemed strange.
熱なんてないった
I
ら
don't have a fever.
そうじゃなくて
That's not what
どう
that's
して
not what
こ
it's
んなと
about.
ころで着替えて
I
た
just
の
want to
よ
know
あん
what
た
the
は
hell you're changing your clothes here. Akko was doing her best to keep up appearances, but for some reason, Soldier was hesitant to say too much.
それは
So,
その
well, this isn't easy
言
to
い
say,
づらいんだが下着の管理はきちんとした方がいいと思う
but
どっちだかは
you
知ら
need to
ない
take
け
care of
ど
your underwear better. I don't know whose it is, though. Alice, who had been completely silent behind Akko, couldn't resist responding to that statement. Although she hadn't wanted to get involved, this is something she couldn't
言
ignore.
っておくけど、それは青子だから。
I must point out it was most definitely Aoko. Oh wait, whatever. Aoko's response was quick and to the point.
洗濯の当番は確かに私だったけ
I
ど
may be in charge of laundry, but Aoko seemed like she was just holding back on going. Oh yeah, because they keep the laundry in the bathroom. Yeah. Going
とに
credit.
かく
Anyway,
もうすぐ
I
ア
really
ル
have
バ
to
イト
get
だから
dressed.
着替えてく
I'm
る。
going to be late for work. Sensing the two were probably about to get into an argument, Sergio took his chance to leave. And with that, Sergio briskly left the scene.
アリス
Alice,
とりあえず、片付けてくるわ。
I'll go clean up. Alice calmly walked into the bathroom. So wait, it was Alice? A few minutes later, just as the two were about to head out and fulfill their duties as mages, Akko remembered something she wanted
そう
to
だア
ask.
リス傷ってあれのこと
Do you think those were scars?
あれは
What those
傷跡
scars
じゃ
were?
ないわ。
Do you think those scars were? No, I don't think so.
だって、
He seemed
あんなにも
so
誇らしいも
proud
の。
after all. Akko agreed. What had impressed her about those scars was how he treated them simply as part of his past, absent of any regrets. Akko wouldn't have gone so far as to say he was proud, but it seemed her instincts had been correct. That and one more thing.
でも一つだけはっきりしたわ
One thing's clear though.
それじゃあ不覚にも見惚れてたのは私一人じゃなか
I
ったっ
wasn't the
て
one
ことよね
I wasn't the only one who was
Alice.
pleasantly surprised for what I saw, was I, Alice? Alice has a working libido? That's crazy. Akko smiled weirdly at Alice, like a child who knew they were doing something they shouldn't with their friend. Why did I have a stroke? Alice was trying to ignore her as best she could. She looked away. This is like the most shocked face I think I've seen her make. She looked away without saying a word. Akko let out satisfying snickering and began walking towards the front door.
じゃ行こうかまずはあの公園からでいいでしょ今回の件はあそこから全てが始まったわけだし
Let's get going. We should probably start at the park, right? Since that, I'm having am I actually having a stroke? What's happening? She was talking about the local park in Miyazaki. The place they'd run to enemy puppets and, of course, where their involvement with Sergio had all begun. Yes, let's get a second witness. Early next morning, it was 5 o'clock in the morning. Most people were still in their beds, sleeping. Although some 24-hour convenience stores had opened last year, Miyazaki Town was still very much living in the good old days of the early 80s. Oh, we're in the early 80s, too. Okay. Even the tofu shop in the shopping district, known for opening earlier than anywhere else, did not open until 6. This was the late 80s. Okay, I'm having a stroke. This game is trying to make me have a stroke. This was the late 80s, during the latter half of Japan's bubble economy. It was at the time when metropolitan area never slept. Those in the countryside, however, remained in the past. The homes were blanketed in the silence. The streets were empty of commuters, and not a single automobile could be heard. Are you making fun of my automobile? The sun was barely peeking over the horizon. The town would still be asleep for at least an hour before it began waking up. It was during this time that someone stepped onto the Kwanji estate. Shota was working the late shift during winter vacation and had just come home. He moved quietly through the drawing room so he wouldn't wake up Aoko and Alice, who were presumably still asleep. The Kwanji state had a few established rules. One of those rules forbade more Japanese tea. Huh? This new rule only came into effect 3 days prior. It proposed after Alice saw Sojiro drinking green tea in the kitchen after dinner one night.
Ah.
Oh.
Oh?
Oh? She looks fucking pissed. Looking back on it, the decision had been made rather abruptly. The single gasp of surprise was all Alice said. She grasped her head as if she was battling the most vicious of migraines, called for Alco, and then made the decision to ban all Japanese teas from this mansion. By some miracle, Alco managed to negotiate and keep Sojiro's privilege to barley tea during the summer.
だいたいイギリス産だって初めはグリーンティーが主流だった
Even
じ
the
ゃない
British only drink tea at first, you know. The accent, I'm losing the accent constantly. What's happening to me? Alco clearly hit a nerve. Alco clearly hit a nerve with this argument. Alco stared at Alice, clearly certain why she was so taken aback by Sojiro's actions. I'm like I can barely get it.
お茶はなんだって美味しいのに。
I don't get why this is such a big deal. Tea is good no matter what kind it is. But Sojiro grumbled to himself while sipping his hot green tea. He didn't realize that Alice was upset. He had poured his green tea into a teacup meant for black tea. In Sojiro's defense, this was the only teacup that Alice had given his permission to use. At any rate, the early morning was still to enjoyment. Oh, so she's a tea snob. This was a moment to relax with a Japanese tea set he smuggled in. He didn't use the time to read books or watch TV. He just drank his tea and gazed fondly at the garden, or rather the dense woods outside. Sojiro simply sat, relaxed, and let his mind wander. But an hour passed. Just as he began to feel refreshed, he heard the sounds coming from the foyer. He knew it was Alco and Alice talking, so he rushed to hide his teacup, teapot, and tea leaves in the kitchen. Hiding the contraband was easy enough, considering just how many unused shelves there were in the kitchen. Sojiro was perturbed by how they wasted the potential for such a splendid kitchen.
あら、早いのね、宗十郎。
Oh, you're up early, Sojiro. Oh, you're up early, Sojiro. Alco spoke as she shook off her white down jacket. Next to her, Alice suddenly took off her black coat.
いや、今帰ってき
No,
たんだ。
I just got home actually. I
天城
started
浜の
working the
食
late
品
shift
工
at
場
the
に
food
深夜
factory
のパ
over
ートで
here.
入ることになってその帰り
Amakimiyama? Sojiro stuck his head out in the kitchen and gestured that he was about to put on some water to boil. Alice tilted her head slightly at him. It wasn't that she thought his gesturing was funny or anything like that.
天城浜から
Amakiyama. Amagiyama. Alice glanced up at the clock in the drawing room and her expression darkened.
どうしたのアリス。
What's wrong, Alice? Alco asked from the comfortable seat on the sofa.
別に
Nothing. Alice responded indifferently before finally sitting down as well.
宗十郎、砂糖は一杯だけだからね。
Sojiro, just one spoon of sugar, remember? Alco yelled her her matter-of-course request into the kitchen. Georgia didn't respond, but it was an affirmative silence. This was a result of 2 entire nights worth of cramming that Alice knew nothing about.
アリスは
What about you, Alice?
私はミルク
Just
だ
have
けでい
mine
いけ
with
ど
milk. Oh yeah, your English is fuck. What the hell? I'll just put it out of
了
objection.
解ミルクティーだね
Tea with milk. Got it. Somebody the server dutifully answered Alice's request.
ま、いいけどいちいち突っ込んでたらキリがないし
I'll get sick of his voice, he replied every time anyway.
それより珍しいじゃない
Anyway, isn't it pretty rare for you to be drinking tea from a tea bag, Alice?
今日は疲れたから
I'm just tired
た
today.
まには
I thought I might as well. It seemed that she allowed herself to accept another's kindness, at least for today.
ま、
Hmm,
いいか
if you say so.
それより総
More
十郎
importantly, Sojiro.
あんたさっき
Didn't you say something weird earlier?
別に言ってないぞ
I don't think so.
そうならいいん
Oh,
だ
I
け
could
ど
have sworn you said something. The two were conversing over a distance of 4 yards. Alice decided to add her opinion to the conversation.
しずきくんがおかしなこ
I
とを
don't
言わ
think
ない
a
日はな
day
い
has
と
ever
思
gone
う
by where it
私
says something weird, to be honest. Her quiet tone was luckily just low enough that Sojiro couldn't hear her in the kitchen.
そりゃそうだけど
I agree,
Yeah,
but
just
seriously,
pretend that
wasn't he talking kind of strangely just
い
now?
や何が
I
引っ
don't
かかっ
exactly
た
know
の
what
かまで
to
は
describe it.
そうね
True, the
会
conversation
話自
itself.
体は
Oh,
普通だ
sorry.
ったけれ
True,
ど
the conversation itself was
内容を
normal,
考
but
えて
something
みる
did seem off
ど
about
こかを
what he was saying. Akko became gradually more irritated as she failed to grasp what had been odd about the conversation. Just then, Sojiro appeared holding a tray with a teacup for each of them.
何を話してるんだ
What are you
単に
talking
新
about?
しいアルバイトを
I believe
始
you
め
just
た
said
だ
I
けだ
started a new part-time job, that's all. He put cups down on the black table without making even the slightest sound. I was going to complain about how proper his job as waiter had made him. While she didn't say anything out loud, she did nod in his direction to show some gratitude. Akka, however,
天城浜だっけあ
Akiyami,
そこってスタジアムがあるところでしょ
there's a huge stadium over there. I go there sometime when a band I like is on tour. That student council president is a supposed model student who loved rock bands. Akka was secretly obsessed with a number of bands and used to travel way out of town just to see them perform live when she was in middle school. Of course, this was a world that Sojiro was far from familiar with.
それよりまた
Anyway,
新しい
I
バイ
can't
トを始
believe
め
you
たんだ
started yet another
そんなに
part-time
働い
job.
てどうする気
What are you
なの
trying to accomplish
総十郎
working that hard, Sojiro?
ああよく聞いてくれたね
You were listening.
本人の名誉のために
Well, I
名
have
前
to
は
work
伏せる
more
け
because
ど
there are a couple of people in my
誰
life
か
who
さん
like to
と
take
誰か
all my
さんが
money for
俺の少ない収
for
入
every
を
little
無慈
thing
悲
you
に
can
奪ってき
imagine. This was as much resistance that Sojiro was able to give. Akko lifted her teacup in her mouth, as if completely oblivious to Sojoro's monologue.
それは大変ね
Sounds rough. That's rough, buddy. Alice said this as she set her teacup down quietly. There were some things she did not understand. Akko had just had to hold back her laughter as she looked at Alice and Sojiro. Yeah, they're both kind of clueless,
言った
huh?
自分が未熟だった
I should have known better to say anything. Sojiro fell as she said this. Took a sip of his black tea, still unsure about the taste.
まあアルバイトが多いって分かっ
As
て
long as
く
you
れ
know
る
I'm
だけで
working
いい
a
か
lot, I guess
そう
it's
いった
fine.
わけだから
So that means I'm also be away at night during
冬休み中は夜も
winter
留守にする
vacation. I have to take those pills at work though.
ああそれなら心配いらないわもうあれはやめた
Oh,
から
don't worry about that. Oh, don't worry about that. I'm done with those.
いちいち作るのも面
They were
倒
a
だ
pain to
し
make, and I found something more suitable for you anyway. Akko had a huge ominous grin on her face. She put her hand in her jacket pocket and pulled out a paper bag. It was a small circular object about 20 inches in diameter, wrapped up nicely like a present.
これは入居祝い
Here's a little something to
これから
celebrate
は
you
それを
moving
つ
in
けてお
here.
くのよ操縦
I just
は
want you to hear from. I want you to wear this from now on, Sojiro. Her opened the bag. Inside was a white belt. It wasn't a belt for putting around your waist, for keeping your pants up. To put it clear as possible, it was a collar.
青子
Yeah, dog, come on now. Alice's expression darkened at this turn of events. But it wasn't clear whether it was her friend's insidiousness or sympathy for Sojiro's that concerned her.
どう気に入った
So, what do you think? Of course, was clearly a little crazy. At least she wasn't totally serious. It was obvious that it was at least half a prank to see how Sojiro would react. But Sojiro was suddenly concerned that the collar had just been gifted.
うん
I'm not exactly sure what this means. It was the first time anyone's
こういうものを
given me
人から
something
もらう
like,
のは
oh,
これが初め
brother.
てだ
Yeah, she sounded like he would be happy. He would, like this would be a happy memory for him. Alice narrowed her eyes at what was transpiring. Yeah, this is hard to watch. What was that supposed to use this for?
簡単よ。
It's
金庫
simple.
寺と同じ
It's
で
like a golden
飼い犬が
headband in
主
the
人に
Journey to
逆
the
らうと
West.
首を絞めるの。
Wukong
あっ
had
ち
to
は頭
wear
につけてたけど、
if you
そ
stepped
れ
out
よ
of
りは
line.
首のがマシでしょ？
Though this you wear around your neck like a dog collar. You even call it a dog. I can't. I guess chokers. Did chokers exist in Japan in the 80s? I don't know. Sojiro grimaced. He finally understood Ako's mean-spirited gift. He really wanted to ask her what kind of person comes up with such an evil idea.
つまり秘密をばらしたり逆らったりしたら首が締まると。
So basically, if I divulge any secrets or disobey you, the collar will choke me. Is that right? Wait, so you know about Wukong, but
やっぱ
okay,
り熱でも
whatever.
あるんじゃないのか。
Are you sure you're
青崎は
feeling well, Aozaki?
あら、首輪はいや。せっかく宗十郎に似合いそうなものを見つけたのに。
Oh, do you not like it? Do you not like it? Do you not? You're not. Ugh. I tried to pick it up, but I found what would suit you best. Alko still had an evil grin on her face, but Sojiro had a surprising response to his gift that Alko had clearly gotten as a prank.
それもそうか。
I guess you're right.
毎日
I mean, it's
毒を
better
飲
than
むよ
taking
り
poison
マシ
every
だし
day. The belt itself looks well made.
うん
Okay, but did you neutralize the poison?
あり
though?
がとう青崎。
I actually like it. Thank you, Aozaki. He spoke 100% truthfully. Ako's face contorted in disbelief, and she could only mumble if he was serious.
人の行為はどんなも
Happy
のだっ
about
て
any
嬉しい
act
よ
of。kindness.
それに
Even more so when it's from you, Aozaki. Damn. Damn, kinda got your ass. And with that, Sojiro put the belt around his neck. He placed it over the bandages. Over the bandages already
こ
there.
んな感じかな。きついけどそのうち慣れるだろう。
I guess it works. It's a little tight, but I'm sure I'll get used to it. By his words to the contrary, Sojiro tugged at the belt uncomfortably and adjusted it. It was such a perverse scene that even Ako's face was red as a beet, even though this had all been her idea. Perhaps it was because it gave her such a clear reminder of the scars she had seen the day before.
よし。止め方はこれでいいのか。
Okay, is it on right?
ね、
Or retreated guiltily as Sojiro cleaned closer to her to check the fit on the new collar. If you don't say anything, how would I know if it fits right?
いいよ。アリスに聞くから。
It's okay, like, just ask, Alice. Sojiro shifted his gaze from Ako to Alice. Alice stared intently at Sojiro wearing his new collar and said,
ロックね。
Punk rock.
趣味に
Ako,
走り
stop
すぎ
trying to
よ。
dress him how you want him to look. She got your ass too. she could not put it any more bluntly.
いや、やかましい。
Sh-
そん
shut
なん
up.
じゃない。
That's not what I was trying to do.
もういい。と
You
にか
can
く
know
そう
her.
いうこと
Nah,
よ。
that collar will replace those
これか
pills
らは
I
そ
was
の
giving
首
you.
輪が
Don't
薬
you go
の
divulging
代わりよ。
any of our secrets. Also, this would have killed him earlier when he was talking to Toby Mark. Ako was oddly emphatic as she spoke before stomping off towards the hallway.
それと、
I'm
こ
gonna
れ
take
か
a
らお
nap
昼ま
until
で
lunch.
仮眠を取る
Giving
け
up
ど、
for any
くだらない
stupid
ことで
reason,
起
I
こしたら
will
殺すから。
murder you. Ako slammed the door behind her as she left the drawing room. Mitchell stared in amazement.
なんで青崎は
I'll never
いつも
understand
いき
why
なり
she
怒
gets
る
so
んだろ
mad all of a sudden. He murmured to himself, but forgetting that Alice was standing right there in front of him.
しずきくんには悪意が通じないからでしょ
I assume because her ill
気
intent
にする必要はないわ
doesn't seem to get through to you. I wouldn't worry too about it if I were you.
悪意って今
Ill
の
intent? What? Just now? Alice looked at Sojiro in innocent response. There was a glimmer in her eye that showed surprise at her current actions.
何でもないから
It's nothing.
気にしないで
Don't worry about it. That terse reply, she returned to her usual expressionless self. There was no use explaining Ako's feelings. Ako bought the collar for the sole purpose of annoying Sojiro and causing mischief. When things didn't turn out the way she planned, her conscience got the better of her. Sojiro mistakenly thought that Ako was angry at him, when in reality she was only angry at herself. Alice didn't bother telling Sojiro all these heartwarming details, though. Not because it was too much work, just because she was never one to have meaningless conversations. That was how she had been raised.
しずきくんは
So what were your plans for the rest of the day, Suzuki? Alice suddenly changed the topic. Sojiro fought for a while before replying.
夕方までゆっくりするよ。ここの
It's
とこ
gonna
ろ
relax in
忙
the
しすぎ
evening.
た。
I've been too busy
せっかく
recently.
だからテレビ
I
も
want to
見
watch
て
some
いたい
TV
し、
now since
お昼
we
に
have
は
to wait
青崎を起こさないと
wake
い
up
けないだろ
Kawasaki at lunchtime, right?
そう。
Right.
なら静かにし
Just
てい
keep
て
it。quiet then. Alice let out a gentle sigh and rose to her feet. Just keep it quiet. Sojiro would understand exactly what she meant by those words in just a few minutes. New track? The sun shining from the window was bright. It was just about 9 o'clock, about time for the morning television programs to get going. Sojiro was sitting on the sofa staring out the window at the scene outside. The view from the neighboring sunroom showed a courtyard in a state of disrepair. Sojiro could appreciate the outdoors both his natural wild state and when tamed by human
俺
hands.
は近いうちになんとかせねば
I really need to do something about this sometime. Sojiro reminded himself, turning another page in his textbook. Excuse me. On the table before him was the mathematical textbook and a notebook with Azaki's name on it. Although at the first glance, he appeared to be a diligent student, studying on his day off. He was in truth only doing so as a compromise. He had given up on his main intent of watching the morning television show. The reason why he gave up was simple. He was being considerate of Alice, who sat in front of him while her nose buried in a book. Instead of holding herself up in a room, she brought out her old, dusty book to read. This is what she meant when she said to keep quiet, which would find it difficult to turn on the TV.
とりあえず
I guess I'll watch TV for a while. With that decided, Sojiro resigned himself to reviewing some of the practice problems he got wrong. In the drawing room, for some reason, there wasn't any particular purpose in doing it there, but he also had no real reason to study back up in his room. And thus, he was leisurely highlighting his textbook with Alice there in the same room. To Sojiro, there was no difference between his room and the attic, and the drawing room with Alice. To be fair, he could probably live with a tiger as long as it didn't cause him any trouble. That's what both Sojiro's biggest strength and biggest weakness. Before he knew it, the clock was showing 11. He spent 2 hours doing his math problems, but wasn't even halfway finished. More than that, he was disappointing himself for lacking the courage to speak up at all.
それに比べて
In comparison, Azaki is really working hard. He dropped his mechanical pencil on the notebook and watched it rolling away. He knew that Aoko and Alice were busy with something since final exams had ended. Sometimes the sentences fucking me up beyond belief, and I can't discern why. He always knew that she had hardly gotten any sleep recently. He also knew that she had hardly gotten any sleep recently. If she had been able to ignore him during the exam, she probably would have had an easier time. Jane's nap was probably the first proper sleep Aoko had gotten in days, though she showed no signs of exhaustion despite that fact that she must have had hit peak long ago. It always seemed raring to go. It wasn't that she was trying to act tough. That was just the kind of person she was, always positive, always tough as nails. And that was exactly why she came off as completely irrational at times. But if that was the case, you could probably describe Alice in exactly the same way. Sojiro couldn't help but feel a bit inadequate when he saw her there, single-minded focus on their goals. He'd been so preoccupied with adjusting to his new life that he neglected to think about what he was going to do for himself after. Think about this cast as a gloomy cloud over his heart. He felt like he'd never find a clear purpose in life, like Aoko and Alice seemed to have. At least not since he left the mountains. His old life was gone now, never to return. He was like a kite cut from his strings, destined to fly over where the winds took him. Without anything to ground him, he couldn't do anything about the empty future that lay ahead. He could only let himself fly where the currents took him, slowly losing sight of the ground below.
そうだな
All these conveniences you could ask for out here, but nothing I truly desire. The town is full of options, but you only find nothing. He asked himself the same questions time and time again. It never made him feel any better. If anything, it only made him feel worse and worse. That or maybe he felt the lamenting his own ineptitude would lead to finding some kind of goal or desire someday. Okay. Tired of his own sniveling, Sojiro dejectedly closed his notebook. While he looked up, he saw his own face reflected back at him on the TV screen. His new collar was there around his neck, looking out of place as ever. Perhaps a fool like him who felt weak when faced with other strength did not need to wear a collar after all.
全くだ
This is silly.
悩むのは
I shouldn't
一番
worry
になってから
about this until I'm actually an adult. Shook off his thoughts of doom and gloom and sat up straight. After psyching himself up a little, he stood up from the sofa.
よし何か作るけどアリスは
I'm gonna make some food. You want anything, Alice? Sojiro asked casually. While Sojiro had been doing his own thing, he had remained mindful of Alice. Alice looked up, surprised at hearing her name. She had completely forgotten Sojiro was even there.
私
Me?
あ
Yeah,
あアリ
you.
ス朝から紅茶しか飲んでないだ
You've
ろ
only had some tea all morning.
どうせ作るな
I'm
ら
going to be
いっぱ
cooking.
い
I might as
作っ
well
た方
cook
が
for everyone. But waiting for a reply, Sojiro headed off to the kitchen while putting on his apron. Alice tried to wave at him to stop, but he had already disappeared into the kitchen. She was hesitant to walk all the way in there just to tell him she didn't need anything. Besides, she was actually hungry. Her proposal made sense. Her empty stomach agreed. Alice was hungry, and Sojiro was going to make lunch. Making lunch for both of them would save the time and trouble of cooking two separate meals. There was no logical reason for Alice to refuse his gesture. She tried to stay quiet and tactically accept his offer.
変な人
Tactfully, not tactically. Tactfully. He's so strange. He whispered the words softly, not for anyone in particular to hear but herself. Truth was, however, Alice had been in a bad mood all morning. After checking all the sigils around Misaki City and boarding the first train back from Tokawa, all she wanted to do was spend the rest of her day reading until words turned into jumble. Her iron resolve to complete this task would not be altered by someone else milling about in the drawing room. This was her mansion. There was no way she was going to lock herself up in her room on account of Sojiro. However, with that said, she knew it would be wrong to keep Sojiro out for no real reason. As it stood, Sojiro had actually kept quiet like she'd asked. It was in the wrong here. If Alice really wanted to be alone, she should have just gone to her room.
静かにして
She should have told him to leave.
じゃなくて
Instead of
一人
telling
に
him
さ
to
せ
be
て
quiet, Alice defiantly stayed in the drawing room despite realizing the dilemma she put herself in. She had figured Sojiro would eventually make a ruckus and run off to hide in his attic. Her assumption could not have been even more wrong. It could not have been more wrong. Sojiro never left the drawing room. Moreover, she had actually stopped caring that he was there. Though he hadn't paid her any attention, he had ignored her earring. They had simply sat in silence together without any awkwardness. Alice felt the freedom of being alone, along with the comfort of someone being by her side. Oh my god. Boy meets girl, girl meets boy. Oh my god. To put into words, Sojiro was just that kind of person. Well, was probably the only reason. That was probably the only reason why Alice had been able to sleep so soundly with him there next to her. The girl continued cooking in the kitchen, oblivious to the thoughts that went through Alice's head. She couldn't see him from the drawing room, but she could easily imagine him cooking in the kitchen. Can he cook? He really is strange. Alice resumed reading after unwittingly stating her feelings out loud a second time. Sunlight beaming through the drawing room showed that it was noon. The sunlight actually looked warm, despite it being a cloudy day. As the noon struck, Sojo returned to the drawing room with 2 sets of plates. Some food of indescribable color was piled on a large cream-colored plates.
これは
That's why I was like, can he cook? We haven't seen him cook. This is, she hadn't expected much, and since she also hadn't requested anything, she could just refuse if something she didn't want. But this food left her at a loss for words, despite psyching herself up.
これは
What
何
is this? Alice spoke as though she was terrified of what had been placed before her.
何
Huh?
って
I just put some stuff on top of stir-fried udon noodles. If I could have been here, she probably would have punched him. The server was confidently placed 2 large plates on the table. Steam billowed from the mountain of food like an angry volcano, ready to erupt at any moment. The thick mystery sauce flowed onto the plates as magma might from said eruption. And below it all were seemingly infinite number of slimy tentacle-like noodles. There was really nothing more to say about it. It was clearly the food of a poor, struggling student who favored quantity over quality. All that was required was a basic recipe, the will to cook something, and what few ingredients were needed. The pasta fried noodles was a sauce slattered on top. It was so horrifically bad, it was almost an art form. This was a bachelor's cooking, if she's ever seen it. There's really nothing else you could call it. He'd wondered what she was doing for an hour in there. An hour? And it turned out for stir fry? And it turned out he was making this sauce. No sauce would have been fine. Sergio had horribly gone an extra mile. Sergio bowed his head slightly and picked up his chopsticks. He had brought forks for Alice. She picked up the fork and stuck it in the noodles, drowning in the sauce. Sergio began eating, not seeming to care if Alice sat there looking like she was about to eat poison. Seeming to view this as a challenge, Alice furrowed her brow and slowly brought the mass of noodles to her mouth. Ah, she's an idiot too. They're all idiots. Okay. It was a little salty and ugly to look at, but it didn't taste all that bad. And everything was actually pretty good. Look, it is a stir. It's hard. It would be impressive to fuck up a stir fry. So I want to ask you something. So she put down his chopstick and turned to speak to Alice. Be honest with me, major or not, Azaki hasn't actually taken a life yet, has she? Alice looked up quietly at the sudden question. She had been expecting Shojiro's meal, but now she looked straight at him.
おかしなことを聞くのね
That's a rather odd question, Suzuki. I know, I hate to ask you, but it's not something I feel comfortable asking Azaki directly. If you don't want to answer, you don't have to. Alice didn't respond. She resumed eating, not seeming disappointed. Alice stared blankly at him, slurping his noodle. After much hesitation, she replied,
しずきくんの言う通り青子はまだ人を殺したことはないわ
No, just like you said, Azaki hasn't killed anyone.
その行為
Yet.
自体は
She had been involved
何
in
回かこなしてる
that sort of thing multiple times, though. Alice responded was slow and measured, so it still looked troubled. But not at the conversation they were having. Rather, he looked apologetic towards Alice. Sorry, how long have I been going? Sure. Maybe we got another half an hour, I think. He said she didn't have time to answer if she didn't want to. He said he did. Alice kept talking despite the face he was
しず
making.
きくんが見た公園で
That
の
day
出
you
来
saw
事
us in the park was the first time
青
Aqua
子
had
に
ever
とって
killed
初め
anyone.
ての殺人行為
That was just a puppet, though. Jojo silently nodded. Alice narrowed her eyes at him suspiciously.
まるで
It's almost as it seems like you knew all this from the beginning.
そうじゃない
No, not. Well,
た
maybe.
まにその手のセリフを言うけど
She just says stuff like that
何か
sometimes.
違
It
う
never
気がしたん
felt
だ
like she's ever actually killed
でも
anyone
ま
before.
あそんな
But
こと
more
よ
than
りも
that,
っと
I
確か
guess
なのは
the best evidence is
しずきくんが
the fact
今
that
生
you're
きてい
still
るという
alive.
ことに
Sojiro chuckled at Alice's stellar response. Exactly. Things would have been more clear-cut than that night if actually killed someone before. Sojiro would have been dead before he had ever saw her face. For better or for worse, Ako remained inexperienced, in spite of her ruthlessness and decisiveness. Sojiro relaxed his shoulders. His stern face gradually returned to his normal, carefree state. Then,
でもそんなことは関係ないわ。
even so, none of that really matters.
あの子はそのあたりが異常だ
That's
から
just the way she is. She acts with
行為は
reason
理性
and uses her knowledge to make up for any inexperience she might have.
そうね。
Suzuki, I think if she really felt like it, she could take another person's life, as you put it. And with that, Alice went back to twirling noodles around her fork. She looks like she's having fun, Sojiro thought, as she's ruminating over what she just said. She was rational enough to accept herself despite acting against society's morals. And possess... oh my god. I might need a break in a second. Possessed of an intellect that exceeded even the confidence gained through experience. Ako had been raised to utilize her logic and reason to forge reality from fiction. If that were the case, then perhaps they really were different from
すま
Sojiro.
ない
I'm sorry.
こんなことを聞い
Can
て
you
も
please not tell Aozaki I asked you this? Sojiro seemed serious, as if she really regretted asking. Alice's expression remained unchanged, but she never intended to say anything to Alco anyway.
ありがとう
Thank you. I'm not sure why, but I seem to have a lot of secret conversations with you. Sojiro went back to eating his food. Though Alice was still only had a single bite, he was already scraping his
そういえ
clean.
ば青崎にも聞いたんだけどアリスと青崎は
I already
い
asked
つも
Aozaki this, but do you two of you always get along like that? Sojiro had suddenly decided to change the topic of the conversation. His new topic was rather cold and dry relationships between Alco and Alice. Alco said the relationship was normal, but maybe Alice had a different opinion.
会話が少ないことを言っ
If
て
you're
い
talking
る
about how we really talk to each other,
そうなんだ
that's just what
けど
happens.
別に不便じゃないから
And if something isn't bothering, it isn't something that bothers us. Alice was still twirling noodles with her forks as she gave her concise answer. Around and around the noodles went. None made it into her mouth.
不便じゃないって
What do you mean? It's
そういう
convenient?
の仲が
You
いい
mean that you're friends?
私と青子の仲
Would
が
make
良く
things
ない
difficult for you if we didn't get along. Sojiro swallowed his words, and Alice's perplexed reply. It would, actually, but he wasn't sure how to respond when asked so directly.
いやなんかこっちの
No,
考え方が悪かった
maybe I was just thinking about it the wrong way.
もうその話題には触
I
れ
promise I
ない
won't bring it up
ように
again, so forget I
した
asked.
それより
More importantly, Alice. Sojiro gave Alice a piercing stare that was more intense than any time they had talked before. Alice was taken slightly aback at the unusually intense look at his eyes. Her face began slightly flushed, out of nervousness. Nobody besides Alco had ever stared at her like this before. Whether or not he noticed, Sojiro waited a few moments before speaking slowly, in complete conviction.
それ食べないなら欲しいんだけど